Hi there, welcome to the garden this morning. It is the last week of June and today is supposed to be a cool day here in Northern California, Zone 9B. It's only supposed to get up to 94 degrees Fahrenheit, which is a good 10-12 degrees cooler than it has been for the last couple of weeks, so I'm happy about that. So it's time for the end of June garden tour, but I thought I would do things a little differently today because so many times the tours get to be very, very long. I try to edit them down. I'm getting better at that. But you know, when you edit so much out, you miss a lot of the plants and you also miss out on a lot of the just tips and ideas I have that I usually share as I go along. So I thought I'd do something a little different today because this is something I really enjoy watching on other people's channels because it's so exciting. I know that in person in my garden it's very exciting, and that is just seeing new things coming up, seeing fruit and veggies developing, seeing a surprise flower here, and maybe, you know, an experiment you tried that is working or not. Just some highlights about what has changed since I did the end of May garden tour 3.5 weeks ago. So come with me and let's check out what's going on here in the garden this morning. I think canna lilies are a really nice flower to grow because even if you don't get lucky, even if they don't bloom, these leaves, the color variation is just so fascinating, so beautiful. Look at that. But when they do bloom, they can be super gorgeous. These are a little past their prime, and they've already had like 8 different blooms come out. These are some of the last ones on this stalk. But yeah, canna lilies. Plus they spread. They just keep spreading, and then I have to dig them up and put them in different places. Here's some more canna lilies with another gorgeous bloom. Yeah, plant some canna lilies if you can. You only need 1 or 2. That's what I started with. Now I have about 40. Of course, salvia never disappoints. It can handle the heat. It can handle just about anything. And so many gorgeous colors. I love this violet shade. And beyond that, this flower I've shown many times in my tours, and I can never think of the name of it. But just for you today, I looked up the name. I had to dig out the tag, but I found it. I have no idea if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but it's Anagallis monale, and this is the blue pimpernel. Now this plant began life here as a little 2-inch start, and that was about 5 years ago, and it is still going strong. What I need to do is divide it. Another hardy plant and a great filler for your pots is alyssum. Everybody grows this, right? I love the different pink and purple varieties myself. Yeah, along with some olive seedlings that pop up everywhere on the property. Dahlias and geraniums. And one of my favorites, the pincushion flower, otherwise known as scabiosa. This one is super hardy and perennial, and as you can see, the pollinators love it. Need to come in here and deadhead these, and it will just keep blooming for me almost all year round here in Zone 9B. Snapdragon's still looking lovely. Not at their prime, but still such beautiful colors. Just look at this volunteer echinacea. I don't think I've ever had an echinacea bush this vibrant, this healthy, this gorgeous. I mean, so many blooms, and everything looks great on it. No diseases, no pests. Just beautiful. And of course, echinacea makes a wonderful medicinal tea, but just the beauty of it. So great. There's another little volunteer echinacea coming up, so more blooms to come. And the rescue lemon tree that had 0 leaves on it and just mostly dead sticks when I put it in this pot. Look at how much it's filled out. Amazing, huh? I'm definitely surprised by how well it's done. Society garlic smells so awesome. So beautiful. And you can cook with it. Great garlic flavor. The yarrow is kind of going crazy, but in a very pretty way. Yeah, still, I do need to get in here and do some work on this herb bed. That's one of my next projects. I've got some sorrel here going to flower. It needs to come off, and think I'll take down this white blooming oregano. I like to let some of my oregano go to flower, but not the white stuff. It's just kind of boring. See, this yarrow has gone over, so definitely going to prune it back so it can keep blooming again like there. Now this is the oregano that I like to let go to flower because these purple flowers are just so incredibly beautiful. And as you can see, the bees love them. That's always a good thing to have in your garden, right? Guess what? I got some more fruit trees. I mean, I couldn't help it. I actually purposely went to get them. The nursery was 2 hours away from here. I called them and said, do you have any? And they did. I've been looking for blood orange trees for a few years and haven't been able to find them. This is a semi-dwarf Moro blood orange, and it looks really good. If you see these little spots on them, it's because I've only had them for a couple of days, and they clearly practiced overhead watering, which is never a good idea, and that's what those are. They're not stains or anything. They're just, you know, watermarks. They'll come off, or I could wipe them off. But we've got new growth coming on, and it just looks really healthy. And that's not the only one. And here is the other one. It's also a semi-dwarf blood orange Moro. You can see all the new growth on it. Going to be very nicely shaped with this V here. Just so pleased with it. Been looking forever, and you know what prompted me to get out and look again was I saw a video on Dani's channel. I'll put the name of it here, but if you haven't seen her channel, you should definitely go check her out. She grows beautiful citrus as well as gorgeous flowers, lots of different fruit trees. She's in England, and I really enjoy her channel. Very pleasant, very relaxing. And she was sharing her blood orange tree. It reminded me of how much I wanted one, so I got on the phone and called around yet again, and this time I discovered a place that had some. So I went and just hoped they'd be in good shape, and yeah, they were. So I'm really, really happy about that. So my artichoke flowers are almost completely done. I'm about to cut out the last of the stalks and let everything else take over. I've got this tomato plant here, and then I have planted, what is this? So this was at the end of my direct sowing. This is either pumpkin, Kakai pumpkin, or Long Island cheese squash. I was really good about labeling 90% of what I planted, but right at the end, I was like, oh, I'll remember. But on this one, I don't. Now, these over here, I do know what they are. They have such a distinctive leaf when they first come out. These are red roselle hibiscus, which, yes, I'm starting very late, but you can do that with some plants. Red roselle hibiscus is, you know, long developing, but if you have heat into September, you're going to be fine, even starting them at the very end of June, first week of July. Again, if you have good heat through September. Well, my 2 delicata plants are going nuts, aren't they? And I've seen already some delicata forming. Delicata are such a great squash, and I didn't even know they existed until a couple years ago. If you look back at the end of May garden tour, these 2 little plants were barely getting going, and now look at this. I know, I'm not going to have a walkway. Meanwhile, over here, I have planted more. I've got 3 Long Island cheese squash here that are getting pretty big. And then these are all watermelon that have come up that I seeded. And the thing about them is I'm going to take a couple of them out and transplant them to the ends of the pepper bed there. And also these bushy plants that look like mint, yeah, there's some sort of mint sage variety, like not one I would use for tea probably, but like something similar to a catmint with a pretty purple flower. They volunteered. So I'm probably going to take out this one. Now this one looks like it's already being overcome by the delicata, so I'm not sure. I'll probably just cut it way back, leaving room for the squash to take over. And at the end here, I had 2 Armenian cucumbers that were only a couple inches tall in the May garden tour, and I only have one now because my dog, my little border collie, she accidentally broke the one that was on that side, so I replanted. And I have this trellis that I'm going to put up today on the 2 T stakes here so that I can vine my cucumber up the trellis. And in this bed I have some kakai pumpkin that are doing well, and behind it I went ahead and planted some bush beans, a couple there in the middle. There's the other one, and then along the back, just now coming up because I just planted them a few days ago, are some Chinese red noodle beans. They get really long, those beans, and they're going to go up this trellis. Obviously, I still need to cut down the dead stuff from last year. So here are some of those red Roselle hibiscus that I mentioned. I popped in different places around the property. I had these old containers that had walking onions in them. I just took the walking onions out. I have walking onions everywhere. They don't need to be here. And this is in full sun all day once they get up a little bit past the edge of the container there. And the red Roselle should do super well here. And in this bed, I have some more kakai pumpkin. You might say, why are you growing so much pumpkin? Well, last year somehow I didn't grow any, so I was determined to grow some this year. And kakai has the hulless green seeds that are really great for roasting. And then pumpkin, well, I want to use pumpkin a lot. I want to can it, preserve it, and use it fresh for baking. And in the back, I've got some more. You can see there, red Roselle coming up, as well as along the fence line I've just planted. I don't know if you can see it there. Let's see. Oh, there's an example of one coming up. Some more Chinese red long noodle beans to go up this fence. But yeah, red Roselle in front of the beans. I think that's going to work out well because the pumpkin will spill out this way. Well, it'll probably go backwards too, but the beans and the Roselle will get tall. Now this here is my Peter's honey fig. It's very young, but look, for the first time, I might get some figs. We'll see if they can hang on. But Peter's honey fig, when I sampled it at the nursery, it was so good. I'm really looking forward to finally getting some. I moved this plant here from across the property. It wasn't doing well where it was the first year, but it seems to be liking this new spot. And my brown turkey fig that I grew from a cutting is also producing quite a few figs this year for the first time. Got some kakai pumpkin in there and some Hubbard squash. They get really big in there. Now in this container, I clearly have way too many plants. These are all butternut squash, but I did that on purpose. Actually, I do that frequently. I will sow directly a bunch of plants that I want to grow around the property in a place I know I can take care of them very easily and conveniently. And then once they're about this size, I will take several out. So I'm probably only going to leave 2 in here, and the other 3 are going to go into a raised bed. I just cleared out a bed in the back that will be perfect for them, actually. Just look at the Job's tears. If you watch the video where I showed how to create free soil, and then afterwards I planted Job's tears in the container. Well, I had a bunch of extra plants, so I planted them in different places, and this is one of them. And you can see the tears developing, different colors. I'm going to be so interested to see how these plants do. First time growing them, but already very happy with how they look. And here are the tomatillos that I did a video on recently that I grew from slices of organic fresh tomatillos. Such a short time ago, and already they're blossoming. And my little backdoor garden is doing very well. I've been harvesting strawberries and cherry tomatoes and my very first zucchini. You can see that plant taking off there. Actually, it's 2 of them in a big grow bag. And I've already harvested 4 or 5 big zucchinis off of it. So yep, it's doing super well in this bag. I just water it really well every day. And it gets shade until about 11 a.m. It's just starting to go into the sun now. And next to it, I've got a couple of butternut squash in a crate. In the middle there is my fig tree that I grew from a cutting that I transplanted into this bed in May. And it's doing well, producing some figs. And of course, cherry tomatoes, because, well, you have to have cherry tomatoes everywhere. And on this corner of the bed, coming down, 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 and then coming up, 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 is my purple tree kale, which is so delicious. I love using this stuff in stir fry. I mean, you can chop it and use it for coleslaw. You can use it like anything you would use kale or spinach in, and it tastes wonderful. I mean, it does great in full sun, I tell you. Even here in our hot, hot heat, it does fine. It survives, and you can still eat it throughout the year. But it does far better in the fall, winter, and spring. So that's why I've been surprised and really pleased at how well it's done in this location. Also very happy about the many volunteer sunflowers that I have blooming around the garden. I think that bee is happy about it too. But yeah, I'm just very pleased that the ones that chose to volunteer are my favorite colors. These autumn shades, in fact, this is called Autumn Beauty. Love them. And they stand tall above the rest of the garden, bring in the bees, and just look beautiful. I see some fat blackberries. Oh, that looks scrumptious. They just come right off when they're ripe. I think I might go inside and add those to some yogurt because that just sounds really delicious. I really find early morning in the garden to be so calming and so meditative, but also somehow invigorating. Really gets my mind going, you know, at the same time that it calms down my worries. I really encourage you, if you're feeling it all down, discouraged, tired, worn out, maybe just worried about something, and who isn't these days, just go outside. Whether your garden is just some grass with a few flowers coming up, even if they're dandelions, or you have a very, very organized, efficient row upon row of cutting flowers and, well, I can't really think of what else to say about an organized garden because mine is anything but. But whatever that outside area is, your own garden or maybe a nature park, something that you can get to every day for just 15 minutes. I mean, 5 minutes can do wonders, but 15, 20 minutes, I can't tell you how much difference that has made to my life since I started doing that regularly about 6 years ago. So just try it. What have you got to lose? Nothing, and maybe a whole lot to gain. Well, I hope you enjoyed this little morning in the garden. I know I did. Very relaxing and very exciting to see what's happening here. And I encourage you to get out there and do some gardening yourself. Just a little bit every day, real early in the morning before it gets hot, or maybe in the evening once it started to cool down a little bit. So plant a few seeds. It's not too late, I guarantee you. Just be careful what you choose and you can do it. Grow something. Listen to the birds. Breathe in the air outside your air-conditioned or not air-conditioned muggy house. Feel the occasional soft breeze. I think it'll do wonders for you because I know it does for me. Thanks for joining me today. I hope I see you again soon. And until then, happy growing.